So my question is, if because we've gone over kind of what QuakeCon is known for, and then of course the state of Quake Champions, despite being in, I guess, finally released. Um, what do you think would have to happen for it to kind of reach that prestige level that it's known for, or used to be known for? It's assuming that we have the opportunity to go back to an in-person event, say next year. You think it's time, for them to announce some kind of new project with a new type of Quake and move on from this project, or have them coincide together, or where do you think things should head from here to actually make this something that you know represents all the history from
Danny,
before?
that's a great question, man, and that's why you're the host. Now I've talked about this a lot with my friends. David and I have kicked this around for years. Um, and part of it was it doesn't seem like arena shooters are that popular. I know Apex added an arena mode, like last year, but that's
Right.
still a battle royale game at its
Mm-hmm.
core. Valorant's more like CS:GO, and there's like the store mechanic that CS:GO has and Valorant has in between rounds. I don't think that's the answer for Quake. Honestly, Quake Champions put people off. I'd say the number one problem with Quake Champions right now is if you've never played a Quake before and you pick that game up, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Because the only people playing that game, they've been playing Quake for over 20 years. So I think that it's not very easy to become a new player.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to figure out maybe that's a mode, maybe it's something as simple as offering a larger kind of battle royale kind of thing. But the other problem I think they did with Champions, uh, and that it's in that word right there. They tried to make it a little like Overwatch, where there's this hero mechanic and each character has their own
Yeah.
special. That moved it away, in my opinion, from like the perfect esport that it was with Quake 3 Arena, like and Quake Live. Quake Live is just it was a web client that for Quake 3 with a bunch of mods and all the maps and stuff. Quake Live was great. That was the problem. Like they took, I shouldn't say great, it was fine, but Quake Live had everything that players liked, and then Quake Champions kind of shoved this hero mechanic into the game and removed some of the things that players liked from Live.
Mm-hmm.
So they divided their community at a horrible time, and the game was in horrible shape for the first few years. It I don't know if it was a stream or if I captured a video of it. It was just I did a video of me searching for a deathmatch game in Quake Champions. I sat there for 58 minutes,
Good lord.
nothing. And this was years ago, so maybe it's better now. But yeah, like the player base just wasn't there, so it's like really hard. And they've added a lot. The problems that existed in this game in 2018 don't exist today as much. But I think that core problem where it's not like Rocket League is really easy to pick up and play. Smash is really easy to pick up and play. You can suck at it, but you can pick it up and play.
Right.
Uh, Quake is not that. It's not easy to pick up and play.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to address that though, Denny. That's a problem that I think all arena shooters have, but Quake especially because if you don't know the holy trinity of rocket, rail, and lightning gun, like you're gonna get your ass kicked. If you don't know where the mega health spawns on Ruins of Sarnath or whatever, like you're gonna get your ass kicked. So there's people who've been playing these levels, playing these games for a really long time. And I think that barrier to entry is one of the biggest problems the game faces. Uh, but to your second point, I think a Quake game, a new one, should be made by id Software. Because this was not made by id Software. Yeah, it runs on id Tech. They provided some support, but
Mm-hmm.
they outsourced it to Saber Interactive. I I think Doom and Doom Eternal are excellent games.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and they have great single player experiences. So I think one way to bring in people who may not want to play or aren't as experienced in the multiplayer side is to give us a really robust, impressive single player campaign like we saw in Doom 2016 and kind of reboot the series. I think that might be one way to open this up to a new group of people.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think them bringing that kind of energy in, especially because it is a franchise that's on the older side.
Hmm.
There's plenty of fresh blood out there that might be willing to give. I mean, look at how many people have played through Doom and Doom Eternal who have not really touched the original titles. Um,
And I think go back to the other part of its core. When Quake dropped, it forced people to upgrade their computer. I need a Pentium, I need a graphics card, I need a new sound card. Like this was 1996 that happened, but it changed everything. Like it was pushing our industry forward. The next Quake, if they were to do that, should be one of those games. It should be a game where you see it on Series X or you see it on an RTX and you're like, this is the most gorgeous, most intense, like just crazy stylized kind of game. And I know that like you look at Quake now and it's just 50 shades of brown and it's like people have like very blocky heads and stuff and there's the Nine Inch Nails boxes, but like at the time it was revolutionary what they were doing with polygons, what they were doing with 3D rendering.
Yo, sorry, not to cut you guys off. I'm looking at the Twitch chat,
Hmm.
and Rom Steady just gifted a sub to like everything moving in here.
yo, Rom coming through. Look at the
Whoa.
Oh my
rolling.
god.
Yo, my
Tier 1 sub.
man's
At least this is at least
just
30, 40 people
dropped a
here. Oh
sub
my
bomb on us. Oh my gosh, blown it up in
Yo.
here.
I didn't
Let's
even know there were
go.
that many people watching.
Yo, 100 tier 1 subs from Romsteady. He is gifting a small army here with the sub hype.
Seriously. Well, thank you very much, Romsteady. What a top boy. Also, someone who is a former Quake pro. Romsteady, one of the best Quake players, maybe on the chatty in his time. So he's probably loving this Quake talk right now.
Yeah,
But
give him a round of applause
yeah.
there for your commitment to the franchise over here. Well, yes, no, but I agree with you though. I think that like this is opportunity for like Quake to take a step into being the definitive arena shooter again as well. Maybe reinvent the wheel a little bit, but also
Yeah.
keep things in a way that if it's a situation where arena shooters just aren't as popular, then you should be the one. Like
Yeah.
step into that space and then become the one, so that for people that are both on the the older end who are familiar with the franchise and people that are coming in who may want to take that leap, find a way to bridge that gap in a way that makes sense.
I agree. And I mean, like, there's that game Diabolical that came out a few years ago, and it's basically better than Quake Champions in every way. And it does a lot of those things. And I love the style of the game. You're like these little circular robot, like balls, that float around, but it feels like Quake 3. Like the mechanics are Quake 3. Oddly enough, it's built on Unreal Engine. But no, Romstay with another 10,000 bits. Jeez. Thank you so much,
Good
Romstay.
lord.
We appreciate
This
it.
is big money over here. I love
Yeah.
to see it. Like,
Was it my sub threat? Was that did it? Was it that?
Rob
Who
was
knows?
coming out here with the steel chair. He's trying to double team up with Asif. He's like, look, I'm not the only one anymore.
But yeah, I don't know if an arena shooter by itself is enough. I agree with that. I think
No, I have a single player idea
Quake-
too. I want all
Yeah.
of that. Give me
yeah,
all
I
that.
think I think a single player game made by id Software, where it really showcases their ability to design levels and design weapons and design enemies, like letting a whole new group of people attack Quake in that way, I think would open it up to a new world, because then it's more than just a multiplayer game. Because I think multiplayer games by themselves are probably headed towards free to play. If you're just a multiplayer only game, like I think that's where we're headed with that. But if you look at Smash, for instance, like I thought World of Light was actually pretty entertaining. It got repetitive, but like it was, at least it was something. It was no Subspace Emissary or anything, but like it was decent.
There's definitely an
Yeah.
opportunity here. I feel like especially if the kind of history involved, there's no reason not to go for it. And just
Yeah.
especially, I mean, it's Bethesda and Ed and everyone else
And
involved, like,
Microsoft
come on.
now.
Yeah,
like Microsoft. I think if Microsoft, they should put id on like everything. They should put id on Halo. They should have a Halo campaign made by id. They should have a
now
Quake
you're
campaign
spinning.
made by id. Yeah, like take id Tech and just explore different IP in id Tech. But id Tech was built well, obviously for Doom, but also for freaking Quake. And like, yeah, I would like to see them make a single player Quake, because that enters it into a whole world of speed running and all sorts of other stuff that like it could go viral for a completely different reason than
Yeah,
it did back in '96.
this is the
Because
time.
yeah, I don't think you're going to capture the magic of 1996 in a bottle again, though. That 96 through 99 period was one of the most legendary times for first person shooters we'll ever see, because there were still things happening. Jump was added, like
Yeah,
weapons. Like, you look at the weapons in Duke Nukem 3D, or the weapons in Quake, or the weapons in Unreal. Like, they were just figuring stuff out, Facing Worlds was made. Like, the level design was still having breakthroughs. I agree with Rom that we're not there right now, where like arena games are largely kind of the same, but at the same time uh you have right now you have 3D Realms releasing games like Ion Fury,
mm,
which are built on the build engine, so they're not high fidelity or anything, but they're just fun, and they have really great level design and destructible environments and stuff. So like, yeah, I think that there is a way to do that. Yeah, and
there's plenty of
the engine was
opportunity to
built.
go up. I feel like when Quake Champions is where you're at right now, as far as the level goes, I think this is an
Oh,
opportunity
it's
to make some moves in a way that makes sense. You got Microsoft behind you, you got plenty of tech, you
this
know.
is the most anyone has talked about Quake Champions on Twitch outside of their own channel in like a year.
Yeah,
So they can the bar is insanely low, to your point.
yeah. It's like take some risks in a way that you may not get away with on a Halo from Microsoft right now, but you might
Yeah.
be able to pull some of that in Quake and
And
pull it
also,
up.
like, if you look at the Quake universe, it's so weird. It's like futuristic, but it's also like kind of there's like this old-timey God, what the hell do you call it? I can't remember the name of the term. Like, the style, it's like a gothic, like some levels you feel like you're in the future, some you feel like you're in an old-timey fortress or something, like
Yeah,
it's just, I think that franchise, it's kind of like Prey, where you could do anything with Prey and people are gonna be like, okay. Like, I kind of feel that way with Quake. Like, as long as the game has a rocket launcher and a railgun and a lightning gun, I don't think anyone's gonna complain. And that was another
I'll
thing
play
they
it
screwed up
involved.
with at the launch of Quake Champions. They changed where the rocket spawned in the rocket launcher when you fired it. So no one knew how to rocket jump at first. Because everyone had that rocket jump from 96 all the way to now
Mm,
memorized, and they changed the timing of it. They spent like the next 6 months fixing it. So it's fine now. But that was like one of those things where it's like, that's when I was like, whoever's making this game is focused on the wrong thing. It was not about where the rocket spawns in the rocket launcher. Like, it was like, maybe you didn't need to try to be like Overwatch, because at the same time we saw Lawbreakers fall flat on its face too,
yeah.
right? So it's like, it wasn't just Quake that was chasing that Overwatch trend. Uh, but like, these characters, Quake 1 was the result of, oh shit, we need to ship something. That's very true. And they divided and conquered. Like, go read Rocket Jump. Like, the story of the different episodes, how Romero took his maps, and American McGee took his maps, and Sandy Peterson took his maps. Like, it's just, it's a, yeah, that was a sprint. That was definitely a sprint. And then, yeah, Quake 2 came out. No one likes it except for me, and I love Quake 2.
I mean, I'd love to
Yeah,
see kind of some more of moving in that direction, especially if it's a situation where you have a return to form, definitive competitive scene, and you had an opportunity to
yeah,
maybe get some intermingling with both the PC and Microsoft, and Xbox
that's
side of
Um,
it.
things. Like
Yeah, that is the thing. Like, Microsoft needs games. Like, their Xbox. I don't know what the hell the Xbox lineup is this year.
it's
yeah,
it's Halo co-op. That's
basically.
That's what I mean. Like, in a world where Game Pass for PC exists, I don't know why I need an Xbox. Like, I still need a PlayStation if I want to play new releases soon, right? Like, because they have their exclusive. I still need a Switch for the same reason, and I don't pirate games, or run
yeah.
ROMs or anything. But like, yeah, Microsoft should just lean into these like high-end PC games that they could really have an amazing portfolio there.
Yeah.
What Rom's saying is dead right. Quake 2 perfected the railgun. I mean, the railgun wasn't in 1, but they nailed it. And then Quake 3 was this balance of excellent level design, amazing weapon design, and just everyone's graphics cards and computers finally catching up to what they were doing. I think that's another thing they could do. Like, have Quake be a showpiece for your hardware. Like, push that freaking Xbox Series X to the limit. Have it running at 120 FPS and everything. Yeah, like have it be this like showpiece software. That's one way where
To make it more interesting than Crisis. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just a showpiece.
That's what I mean, though. Like, make it take risks, make it entertaining. Like, make a single player experience. Even take risks with the multiplayer modes. Like, mess around and see what battle royale feels like. Just to see. You know, just put 64 players.
I would love to have them lean in that way instead of it just being the Halo show and then watching it, just having the hope and pray that you're getting something that's actually decent.
I know that people at id Software still care deeply about Quake, and I've asked them at times about if they would make a Quake single player, and they were very cagey about it. But because we haven't heard shit from id Software this year.
I was gonna say that would be a story instantly.
Like, what are they doing? Like, we haven't heard. I think there was a little Doom Eternal DLC work, but like that studio, that A team at id Software, they're not sitting on their hands. So hopefully this is what they're working on, or maybe they're helping other studios implement id Tech on their stuff. But you look at the FPS arsenal that they have over at Microsoft now. They own COD, they own Halo, and they own Doom and Quake. It's like, what else do you need? Like, somewhere over there's a good game, guys. Make it. They also own Overwatch. My bad. They also own Overwatch.
And they still have the unprecedented stuff like Redfall and such that are coming through at some point. So it's time. I mean, I feel like that's you brought up all the good points. I feel like because it is.
Clearly, I thought about this.
Yeah, clearly.
And I mean, David, you can go listen to. You can go listen to Shackcast from like 4 years ago, and David and I are still talking about that. Like, it's unfortunate that we haven't. Yeah, Overwatch. Yes, Overwatch, Rod.
I just love you guys dunk on Overwatch.
No, look, I'm not dunking on Overwatch here. I'm actually pointing at Overwatch as a success of a hero shooter.
Overwatch can't even get the Overwatch again right now.
No, Overwatch 2 isn't going to live up to Overwatch. But my point was like, Overwatch with those character trailers. I know it's been almost 2 years since our last Shackcast. I'll get into it later. No, but yeah, like Overwatch caught lightning in a bottle. Like, those trailers when they were announcing new characters, those cinematics were awesome. Like, I love Blizzard cinematics; they're really entertaining to watch. But yeah, I wouldn't view Overwatch as a failure. Overwatch 2, though, they're trying to make it more like a traditional esport with the 5 characters, but then there's still role queues. Like, they need to figure out a lot over there.
I mean, when everyone attached is leaving, it is hard.
Yeah. But you look at Microsoft's IP portfolio of FPS, there's a shit ton of shooters over there. And then, Sony bought Destiny. But, like, it's weird. Like, you're like, you guys have to have some group of people who can make a great shooter on the, whoever didn't quit, whoever didn't take their money hats and run out the door. Like, there's got to be someone there, or even a younger group of devs who are hungry that want a chance at these IPs, that really care about it. I will say this. Gearbox... and this must have been E3 2018, I think. Mm-hmm. They showed a game called Project 1v1. And it is by far my favorite arena shooter that I've played in the last 5 years. It doesn't exist. It's like, it was like a figment of my imagination. Randy Pitchford threw some pixie dust in the air. We got to play it for a week, and then it was gone forever. But the idea was that more than 2 people queue up in a game, and you 1v1 each other, but then it's like the next few people in line get to spectate. So then once winner stays, basically, like an arcade kind of rule, right? So it's like quarter up, winner stays. And it was really fun, man. We played it at Judges Week, and Greg and I just wiped the floor with every other journalist in there. It was funny because Shacknews founder Steve Gibson was sitting there watching us do it at the time. So it's like it was definitely a pet project of his and Randy's. Haven't heard a word about it since, but I remember bumping into them, and if they're listening, feel free to steal this idea again. That game would have been perfect for the hero shooter mechanic. Because you think about all the IP Gearbox has, right? Which includes Duke Nukem, all that Borderlands stuff, Aliens, like there's all sorts of weird IP over there. And now you look at what Embracer owns, right? You could put together this ridiculous roster, and then you make it this 1v1 game. But yeah, I enjoyed that game a lot. I thought it would be a great esport. It had spectate built in from the jump. You know, like it was like built around that idea that you were going to spectate. You got to almost scout the person that you're about to play, which I like, you know, because like you never get to see that sort of thing. But yeah,
get the people curious now. We'll have to make that something to talk about
every
more
time.
and check.
Yeah, every time I get a chance to talk to Randy or just even interact with him on Twitter, I'll ask him about it, and it's not dead. He said it's not dead. So I'm like, okay, they're just sitting on it. Obviously, like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was a better financial
Yeah.
play, probably. But like, esports, I think, have a very long tail. So if you do have a game that does hit that, like, it's worth putting it out there, maybe even as a free game, and then giving it care over time. Look at Fortnite. Fortnite was not the biggest game on earth. It was in early access and people didn't like it. It was kind of a weird tower defense game a little. And then they pivoted. So like, I think some of these games need to be out in the wild to benefit from that. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see a new Quake though. I also just want to, now I just want to know what the hell id Software's up to.
Yeah.
Cause that's weird. Cause like going back to QuakeCon, not hearing from them, like not seeing Marty on stage, that's weird.
It is.
It's very weird. But it was also a subdued event. Microsoft has events now, so maybe they're saving it for some Microsoft event later this year or next year, or who knows.